When is someone beyond saving? Why are they? What pushes someone to want to be damned, to reject being helped? Jax. Episode 9 of the Amazing Digital Circus ends the series, and it concludes Jax's story. Tragically. Because despite all of her efforts, Pomni fails to save Jax. After Kane's death, the gang breaks apart, but in coming back together we see that Jax is still Jax, unable to break past those defensive barriers and reach out, so he just abstracts, losing himself into abyssal unbeing. But despite this ending, after all the things that he's done, Pomni still tries to find him, rejects this ending for him, trying to drag him back to life. Reaching out to find the heart of a person, to rescue the heart of a person, is so hard. And when someone doesn't know how to be loved, doesn't know how to trust, doesn't know how to let another person in, they may be impossible to save. But trying isn't worthless. Because no, Pomni couldn't save Jax, but in trying to, she may understand him, truly know his heart. What makes him a friend, a love, an enemy. To peel away the defense mechanisms that make up this multifaceted bunny and finally find the real person at the core of all of this deflection. To explore his layered mind, fractured and shattered. To peel back the layers and know him for once. To understand the 5 faces of Jax. When Pomni is absorbed by Jax's extracted form, she's dragged deep into his psyche, met with a variety of doors, a distorted reflection of the circus. This hallway features only one portrait though, Jax. And as promised, behind each of these doors are Jax. Well, different versions of him. Each of these entities behind the doors are part of him, sides of him that he uses to navigate the world and his own feelings. Faces he wears to deflect, to repress and reject reality. And behind door number 1, Jax is cruel, violent. He hurts people. He hurts people so much and never shows any remorse. From the first moment that Pomni entered the circus, he's been horrible. He dismisses her feelings as she's coming to terms with her new home. And when she's at her lowest, most vulnerable point, he kicks her while she's down, leaving her with Kaufmo's abstraction, sending her down the scary door and throwing her from a moving truck.
You threw me out of a moving truck.
Biting chunks out of her. And it's not just Pomni, he's taken so many pieces out of so many others. Because he doesn't need them, he hates them. Jax is so full of hate. He's demonstrated immense cruelty in all directions across the course of the show, from smashing Gangle's comedy mask, making light of Kinger's instability, and mocking Zubal's bodily dysmorphia. But if he only feels hate, why does he caress the memory of Ragatha so gently? Well, there's more to Jax. After all, if he didn't care about the people in the circus, they wouldn't be so deeply embedded in his psyche, so as to serve as personifications of his personhood. So much of him is defined by them. And this is Jax's cognitive dissonance. The mental discomfort that you feel when you hold 2 contradictory beliefs. 2 things that cancel each other out. He hates them, but he needs them. As he needs and he hates himself. 2 competing perspectives that seemingly can't coexist, but they do. Because Jax is able to compartmentalize and ignore these feelings, and he does that by lashing out in anger to push people away. And in doing so, pushing away the feelings that these people bring with them, which he does by hurting them. Badly. and no one gets it worse than Ragatha. Jax's cruelty manifests heavily towards Ragatha. He beats her, berates her, goes out of his way to belittle her, all in this attempt to break her down. And while sometimes that's as simple as just shooting her for no reason...
Away!
It goes beyond that. Treating her like a plaything, like a rag doll, is far from the worst thing that he does. Because the true cruelty is born from something deeper. There is an intimacy between Jax and his targets. Because he's such a vulnerable person, he knows what real pain there is when those vulnerabilities are exposed and exploited. In feeling his own vulnerability, he's able to know how to target vulnerabilities. He knows exactly how to hurt her, exactly what undermines her, exactly what reduces her. Ragatha is so terrified of being disliked, of being cast aside, ignored, and ending up alone and unloved. So Ragatha has allowed herself to be defined by others, like her mother, fitting into a mold to make her palatable and likable. Because she lacks the confidence to actually be her own person, always prioritizing how other people feel, oftentimes at her own expense. To the degree that it can almost feel false at times, or unintentionally disingenuous. Which, ironically, pushes people away.
After a while, it gets kinda hard to tell how genuine she's actually being.
So she endures so much abuse, just so that she can have people keep her around. Something that Jax can identify and exploit. He leverages his developing friendship with Pomni against Ragatha, as a way of undermining the existing relationship that the two of them already share together. A painful prospect that pushes Ragatha to the brink of what she can take. And it's no surprise that behind this door, we see Jax's violent self reacting. Reacting to Pomni, who's trying to help him open up in the face of Ragatha's abstraction. And this part of Jax shows her that there's nothing more to him. And to stop looking. Because this part of Jax wants this. Wants them all to just leave him alone. For Jax, relationships of all kinds are a deep risk. They expose us, make us vulnerable, and make us trust the other person to handle that vulnerability with care, to take care of us, of him. These feelings are at the core of Jax's insecurities, his inability to trust anyone with that side of him. And Ragatha has seen him, truly seen him across all the different stages of his time in the circus. Afraid when he first arrived, how he grew close to others, and his relationship with Ribbit. Ragatha and Jax were friends in a way. But once Ribbit abstracted, that all ended. Because he demanded that she promises to never speak of her again. And Ragatha agreed. Which is where it all began. His cruelty towards Ragatha started to become the core of their relationship at that point. Because he felt something for her. She was his friend once upon a time. But she made the mistake of trying to be there for him, of trying to peel back the layers of Jax. Ew, gross. It's because she cared about him that he had to triple down on his violence towards her. Because he believes two seemingly contradictory things all at once. That he does need help, does want to be saved, and that he doesn't deserve to be helped, doesn't deserve to be saved. These two binarily opposed thoughts can't really coexist, so rather than contend with them, he lashes out, violently pushes away the people who force the questions into his mind to begin with, because he needs them but he doesn't deserve them. And he hates that. Hates himself so god much. The sheer pathetic weakness of needing people. He blames them for having to think about any of this at all, and transposes that internal hatred outward. So he manifests this confusing cognitive dissonance in malice, and inhuman sadism to spite the weakness of humanity. Hypermasculine traits to pave over the pitiful fragility. And we see that violent dissonance in action here. Pomni reaches out, like Ragatha once did for her, repeating lines used by Ragatha in a previous episode, verbatim.
If you need
ever
anything,
need to talk
or
to
if you need
somebody,
to talk to anybody,
or need help with
I'm
anything,
here for you.
I'm here.
Echoes of Ragatha in Pomni, showing us that the cycle that began with hurting Ragatha in the wake of Ribbit's death can begin anew. Because just like with Ribbit, this is his fault. She abstracted because of him. So Jax leans into the hate to wash away the thoughts under the red glow of rage. As this projection of Pomni speaks, we hear the script that Jax's cognition has written for her. One in which the desire to be there for him is inauthentic.
And I'm the only person who can help you. You need me. I can fix you.
I can fix you. I'm the only one who can fix you. It's selfish, a manipulation. What Jax said about Ragatha during the stargazing adventure is conjured here too.
Like, if you tell someone they're loved and appreciated every day, it just kind of loses all meaning. It just feels like she's trying to take advantage of you, you know?
On some level, part of Jax sees Pomni's actions, her desire to save him, as being nothing more than a way to give her own life purpose. To be the hero. And he attacks her, strangling her until she turns blue, just like in episode 3, repeating the phrase he used back then, right now, for a different purpose.
We can't die from oxygen deprivation, remember?
Because the subtext of this action is a message, a warning, that he can make her suffer and there is no way out from that. So she runs away. Because losing Ragatha, losing the outlet for all of that vitriolic self-hatred, doesn't let that hatred die with her. He just continues to turn his self-hatred outward. A reflection of the deep inevitability that he will hurt people who try to get close to him. Which is what I think is the most insidious part of this dissonance. It's simply unaccountable. He refuses to acknowledge how he hurts people. After all, treating people like dirt is so unnatural for anybody with a conscience. Reaching out to Jax is hard. It hurts to have that closeness rejected. Pomni sees something authentic in Jax and she connects with it. Since joining the circus, she's been looking for meaning in all of it. To know that she can be saved, and so she doesn't let him off the hook. And we see just how fragile Jax's defense mechanism actually is. She gets through to him and he hates it, detests that she keeps trying in spite of his efforts to push her away, and so he let her into his psyche, to learn who Jax is. His violent dissonance as a tool for deflecting the pain of needing and rejecting other people's love, and how all of those contradictions spill outward onto everybody around him. Another door opened is another layer deeper. Pomni heads through the second Jax door and it leads to an even stranger scene.
Meet me in my room after the funeral. Don't be late.
Well then. Here we see Gangle wearing her happy mask from episode 4, and she's directing people, ordering them to prepare for Zubal's funeral. Behind each of these doors are part of Jax, embodied and personified through the people around him. And this is Jax's projection. The tendency to take feelings that we can't accept within ourselves and place them onto somebody else. Because if there's anybody in this circus who understands what it means to hide behind a mask, it's Gangle. She's putting on a happy face literally for the event, confident and collected in the face of what should be an overwhelmingly sad event for her. A mask is more than a way to hide. It's a shield, a layer of protection from reality, to hide our true selves, from vulnerability and pain and from feeling itself, which doesn't just describe Gangle, it also describes Jax. His way of imprinting his own self-loathing onto others, because with Jax, Every accusation is a confession. As Jax is forward, let's say, with Gangle at Zubal's funeral, he tells her that despite her protests, she actually must love how he treats her. And this isn't the first time we've seen Jax think this about Gangle. During the stargazing adventure, he says that Gangle likes that he's mean to her.
Maybe she just doesn't want to hang out with someone who's mean to her all the time.
She likes when I'm mean to her, though.
And mean he is. Beyond mean. So to think that this rings true is so wrong. The idea that she could possibly love the torture that he inflicts upon her is a new level of cruelty and ignorance, given form through projection. Jax sees everyone as insincere, hiding their true motives. Pomni must have some ulterior motives for trying to help him. Ragatha must be trying to manipulate him. Zubal must be hiding something. And most importantly, Gangle must be hiding how she truly feels about him as well. Because when he sees her, he sees someone that hides behind a literal and figurative mask, and he feels the same. A kinship of a sort. Someone who tucks away their true feelings because they can't bear to be vulnerable. Being closer to Gangle means that he can, in a weird and twisted, cruel way, be around somebody that he sees as the same. Even asking if Gangle is capable of being happy.
Do you think Gangle is actually capable of being happy?
An introspective giveaway as he imprints his own inner thoughts, his own struggles onto her. Which is why this entire scene is based around Zubal's funeral, a character that Jax has constantly butted heads with across the series. In this scene, Jax is dressed head to toe in a French maid outfit from episode 5. Outwardly, this is an attempt to mock Zubal's bodily dysmorphia and gender identity struggles. However, even this is a projection. Making light of Zubal's difficulties in finding a body, an external self to match their internal self, aligns with Jax's own struggles in regards to masculinity and gender, so this version of Jax claims to be wearing it ironically. Willing to present himself in a way that he outwardly rejects. Much like Gangle's happy mask, there's a disconnect between how Jax presents himself versus how he actually feels layers beneath. To spite Zubal, which he accuses Gangle of doing as well. Because Zubal messed with his entire worldview, a direct rejection of the way that he views relationships. We see this in the episode They All Get Guns. Jax wants to team up with Gangle, and so he steals her mask, this precious defense mechanism. Jax holds it above Gangle, dominating her, a stark demonstration of ownership of her ability to even hide her vulnerability, herself from him. His abuse is rooted in his capacity to exploit and control her right to be vulnerable, artificially inflating his own comparably stronger ego. But then Zubal shows up and snatches it back, handing it to Gangle. Gangle and Zubal's relationship broke the tiny little narrative that he had constructed in his head, the narrative that intimacy can only be taken rather than given. Because Gangle found closeness with Zubal, intimacy, love. Without the need to be dominated or bullied, she gave it to them freely. And just like that, Gangle elects to give her mask to Zubal. Because even if she can't trust herself with it, she knows that she can trust Zubal. This dynamic spits in the face of how Jax sees intimacy as something to be ashamed of, something to never surrender, and something that can only be taken because you are weak and manipulated into it, rather than something to give to another, freely. This creates a problem for Jax. Because if someone like Gangle can do it, why can't he? If trust is possible, if vulnerability is possible, then his isolation isn't inevitable. It's a choice. And that is a truth that he can't accept. A reality to repress, to escape, to replace with fiction. Reality is painful. things happen that we don't want to happen, and then we just have to live with it. Or rather, find a way to live with it. Which is at the heart of the Amazing Digital Circus. Finding a way to come to terms with reality, as painful, disappointing, and cruel as it may be, and then coping, overcoming, accepting, finding meaning. And every character does this in their own way. And they do this together by binding together, finding that meaning through others. Everyone except for Jax. This is a character unable to overcome himself, his past, his place, and his person. Someone with no purpose, no meaning. And if all of this is meaningless, then why accept it? What's the point in overcoming reality when you can reject it? Coping with life's pain by pushing it away and replacing it with a more favourable fiction. Walking through Jax's third door, Pomni is met with another scene, another friend lost. This time, Gangle has abstracted. And Zubul is furious, blaming Jax and attacking him. But something is off. Actually, everything is off. The circus is wacky and askew, with the characters embodying the most cartoonish of styles, something close to Looney Tunes. Zubul stampedes towards Jax, but he pauses the scene, pulls away the background, and Zubul falls to their death, Roadrunner style. This isn't real. I mean, even by Amazing Digital Circus standards, this is ridiculous. But on some level, all of this is how Jax sees the world and himself. Or rather, what Jax uses to justify his actions. Because he's the funny one. He does everything because it's funny. It's hard to know where we fit in all of this. Everything around us. The circus that we all call existence is chaos unleashed. So then, there's comfort in some kind of glimpse of control. In a role. This is the part of Jax that sees the worlds through the lens of an archetype, embodying the quintessential trickster to help navigate the world. To help him attribute meaning to all of it, without having to go off script and find it for himself. Seeing how far he can push boundaries, whether it be a metaphysical fourth wall or emotionally needling at others, he exists to shake things up. Appealing to this worldview is convenient for Jax, as it lets him act irresponsibly, even performing the cruelest of actions, all with the plausible deniability that he's doing it because it's funny, and not because he means it. The court jester rather than the villain. Not accountable or responsible for his actions because it's all one big joke. And it's not just to explain his own actions away. He utilizes this part of his personality in order to categorize everybody around him into an archetype.
Ragatha's the cheerful one, Gangle's the sad one, Kinger's the crazy one, Zubul's the grumpy one, and you are the one who hasn't figured that out yet.
Jax's role brings him order in how he perceives life. But in doing so, he leans into the chaos of the world, neatly tidying away his actions and the reactions of others as simply befitting their archetypal namesakes, and it lets Jax circumvent responsibility in his actions. In his mind, when he hurts Gangle and she's upset, well, that's just Gangle and how she would react, no matter what. After all, none of this is real, so what's the point in taking a moral high ground? When he envisions Gangle's demise, he can rest easy knowing that it wasn't really his fault. As Zubul attacks him, he can easily outwit them, because that's what the archetypal trickster would do. Wrapping people inside of archetypal barriers means that he doesn't need to contend with their inner lives. The complexities don't exist. So any pain he dishes out, it's all funny. He does everything because it's funny. Because he's the funny one. Death is funny. Grief is funny. Pain and misery and anger and love are all so funny. pretending that nothing is real and that nothing matters because of that, strips Jax of any accountability. Who cares if people have happier lives? Who cares if his mischief turns into malice, as long as he finds it funny? But who says that the fool can't be the villain? Who says that people can't be more than their assigned archetypes? People can change. People's actions don't define their internal selves and don't decide who or what they can become. Zooble can be more than grumpy, she can find love. Gangle can choose joy. Ragatha can overcome her pain. Kinger can find himself. And Pomni doesn't need to choose a preset role. Doesn't need to choose any of these. Because Jax is wrong. This is real. All of this is real, and it always was. Reality is what you make of it. The world isn't perfect. But that doesn't mean that it can't change. Accepting the challenge and overcoming it is the point to life, to being. Sharing that pain among the people that you love. And they all find others that they can love, that they can change through. And we see this as the gang come together to conjure shapes and fix their home. Their imperfect home in their imperfect bodies with this imperfect perfection of a life. They can fix things, bit by bit, making the choice to be better together. And that first step is accepting accountability, responsibility, to choose to be the person to fix things. But that's not something that Jax can allow. Because on some level, Jax doesn't want to be a person at all. Choosing the life of an archetype is about more than just giving meaning to the meaninglessness of existence. It's about more than just pushing people away. It's a coping mechanism. Dissociation. An unreality where personhood itself is a non-factor. A way of keeping at bay all of the feelings that hurt so bad. A way of pretending that they don't exist. To be a simple cartoon and not a complicated person stuck in the body of one. He literally lays this out in episode 6. He tries to sell this worldview to Pomni, telling her that there is an inevitability in people falling into their roles. And for a while it works, they have fun. It's funny, until it isn't. Because laughing at someone is nothing like laughing with someone. Jax's time with Pomni brings out something wonderful in him. Something beyond the one-note trickster. Companionship, friendship, and caring. She isn't a role, she's just Pomni. As Pomni speeds ahead, he finds himself caring, with the faces of his past looking at him, Kaufmo, Ribbit. His failures, reminders of why he is how he is, why he rejects the world to begin with. But as Pomni does, she got past his defenses and forced him to care, made life real again. In trying to pull Pomni into his way of thinking, he slipped into her world. So he tries to shut it down, demonstrating his volatility. But more importantly, it's at this moment that the fiction that Jax retreats into, the notion that he's just the funny one, is torn to shreds. As he desperately tries to push Pomni out of his heart, he begins to unravel, telling her that he loves the suffering, he loves to hurt people, that he is the villain. A last-ditch attempt to protect himself, telling her, begging her, to stop looking. Stripping Jax of his defense mechanism, the ability to dissociate. And this is the moment that his character snaps, almost abstracting in the next episode. And as the story starts to heat up, the reality of their situation, the nature of the circus, why they are even there, starts to become clearer. Pretending that this isn't real is a luxury that he can't afford anymore. And we see how that hurts him, the panic attacks whenever facing real feelings is on the cards. Because his fiction is his fiction. One that he gets to control, to set the rules himself. But this, all of this, he's powerless to its whims, vulnerable, which is made all the more obvious as Kane goes off the deep end. As he starts to become the victim of Kane's overwhelming cruelty, he starts to get it, I think. How his own domination and control hurt people around him for real. Encapsulated in the cafe scene, he sees Gangle and really does see her this time. I mean, she is the person that he's tormented for so long. But now here he is, just another Gangle to Kane. And I think he starts to understand the damage that he's done to her. Regrets it. There's no going back now, made obvious by his half-hearted attempt to fall back into the old group dynamic. But he's met with deafening silence.
You know, things were just fine here until you and Zubul came along. Nothing? Okay.
He sees his malice now. When they reach out to him, treat him as one of them, in spite of all the unimaginable horror that he's unleashed upon them. When Gangle of all people defends him. When Zubul of all people extends their hand to him. When Pomni still tries to help him. After everything, he doesn't leave. He tries one last time. But it isn't enough. Because you can't just fix someone just like that. Jax's pain, his fear of vulnerability, his loathing of his self, they're baked into him. Because Jax isn't just afraid that he might hurt people who love him. He knows he will. Because he's done it. Time and time again. So if Jax is so bad, what makes him worth saving? A life defined by its capacity to shift its pain onto others is a life that takes people's confidence, sanity, joy, and love. A life that takes so much more than it gives. But that's life. It takes so much more than it gives. From all of us. Pomni's life crashing down around her, Kinga's sanity, Gangle's dreams, Zubul's autonomy, Ragatha's confidence. Everyone has lost something to life, to living, to trying to survive. But they found something too. Found something to make all that loss worth it in someone. Someone to love, someone to find them, someone to save them. Because sometimes that's all it takes to make the pain worth it. And everyone deserves to be saved from themselves. Even Jax. As Pomni walks through the fourth door, she's met by familiar faces. Dissonance, projection, dissociation, sat together, the rulers of this place. But this isn't their home. It's his. That little guy in the corner playing Daisy Bell. This is Jax's expression. His repression. The version of Jax that's been tucked away because of what he is. What he stands for. The part of him who cares about things, loves things, has interests in things. The first constructive part of Jax that we've seen thus far. A single ship, adrift in a sea of so much self-destruction. Revealing parts of yourself that you hold close, your hobbies and interests are deeply personal and they make us vulnerable. Like playing the piano, showing off a skill that isn't easy because we care about it. It's so hard to reveal that, because people might not care. They might not get it, they may not like it. And just like that, we regret opening up to begin with. Which can easily spill over into regretting ever learning it, ever having these hobbies and interests. Tucking that away, repressing that love for things that we enjoy can be easier than the risk of exposure, because it's simple. Never opening, never trying, and never failing. But it's more than that. It's everything that makes up the fibre of who we are, anything we hold close that makes us vulnerable, and that Jax in the corner reflects that. He's a crucial part of the internal framework of Jax's mind, because it's through him that these defense mechanisms that make Jax violent, cruel, and numb can live. His self-consciousness powers them, which is why he's chained to the piano, The Jax who is forced to play for their amusement. The Jax who is a slave to his defense mechanisms. The Jax worth saving. And we've seen him before so many times across the series. Because yes, he's capable of such monstrousness, but this doesn't make him a monster. We've all done bad things. But we're also all that we've got. We aren't defined by our worst moments, and we aren't forced to become them. There are so many times that we see these parts of Jax slip through the cracks, especially when he's with Pomni. A Jax that can have fun, a Jax that can be open, and a Jax that can change. Pomni addresses them all directly, and they act as their personas would, with anger, bigotry, and dismissal. As she asks which one is the real Jax, she's mocked for even asking the question.
Where's the real Jax?
You're not gonna get anywhere asking questions like that. Now scram! You're messing up our game.
There is no Jax that isn't somewhat defined by these sides of him. They're all him. We all appeal to certain sides of our personhood to navigate the world. Many of these faces are designed to protect us, and they develop as our experiences demand them to steel us against experiences that hurt us. You can't just detangle these defense mechanisms because they're built on a life of trauma. They exist to protect him in a way, from the dangers of others, hardened by a life of hardship. But everything is broken. This isn't normal anymore. These mechanisms don't serve Jax any longer because he has become their thrall, a victim to his own reaction to trauma, locking away the parts of himself that justified their existence to begin with. A prison. He is the warden and the prisoner. He wants to stay locked away, but is also screaming to get out. Because he isn't a monster. He has humanity, he cares about things, he cares for Pomni. I mean, he is literally playing Daisy Bell in this scene. A reflection of how important that moment is. When he and Pomni sang together, how closely he holds it so as to crystallize it as a core element of his kindest self. Because he values it, he values her. And he wants on some level to be open. And despite how close he comes to letting that be a reality, when push comes to shove, he lets these other selves take the wheel, pulls away, and as a consequence they get even stronger. They feed on him until there's so little of Jax left. Which reframes the question, why won't Jax let himself be saved? No. Where do you even begin when trying to help someone like him? Understanding a person, why do they hate? Why do they torture? What are they hiding? The faces fade away, except for his piano-bound Repression, who stays just long enough to hand Pomni a key to the locked door behind which another side of Jax is tucked away. He beckons her to go on, to know Jax. There's no manual to life. It's a series of ups and downs. We're thrust into being and we just have to make it work. It can hurt. We can be hurt, but there's more than hurt. Despite circumstance, life gives us all a chance to try and connect. Even in the hardest of situations, there's a beauty to be found, potential to be reached, friends, love. But we are hurt. We have been hurt, and we can hurt others. Jax enters the circus, and it's a lot. He takes time to adjust, as everyone does, but despite all this hardship, there is a chance to find something in it. Someone in it. We see through fragmented visions of the day after day after day gone past that Jax and Ribbit have become closer. And in her room, she opens up to him. Tells him of her struggles, her regrets. Not regrets in the circus, but regrets in reality out there. because she trusts him. And she wants to know that he trusts her too.
Have you ever done something that you regret?
Immediately, Jax pulls away, and it's clear that part of him is scared. Scared in the same way that Jax has always been. Terrified of opening up, of letting someone see him in his entirety, and being rejected. Being deconstructed for it. They're in another world. They've been struck from their reality and shoved into cartoon characters. The only Jax that she knows is this cartoon rabbit. And intimacy demands more than that. To be honest. To share something real. To share anything real. Because sharing vulnerabilities is the beauty of being with someone. Wanting to see past someone's facade is the point of connection. To know them deeper, otherwise none of this means anything. You might as well just fall into your archetype. Become part of the machine. And part of Jax wants to choose to be real. And so he tells her about the father who taught him that manhood was something to perform. About the mother who spent years carrying wounds that she couldn't put down. About growing up trapped between expectations that he could never satisfy and an identity that he couldn't ever explain. The pain of Jax is remarkable. My heart breaks in this scene. A vessel of pain filled up by inherited generational trauma. Because abuse changes us. We want it to end, but can become captured by how it can feel unceasing, and that transforms us into thralls. Slaves to it. And when he was fed up of it, fed up of everything, it bubbled to the surface and he unloaded on his mother, arguing with her, the target of all of his frustrations because she made him a target for his whole life, forcing him to become somebody that he wasn't, to be as bad as his father, yet expected to be better than him. Boots that he tried to wear, only to be chastised for not being enough of a man to fill them, or for fitting them too well. His vulnerability, his anger, his frustration and pain, all parts of him that he was forced to be ashamed of. Jax's rage and his power over others, his desire to dominate and inflict pain, mere shadows of the figure of the man that left. We see this in his actions so often, and in a mother that he can't understand. The only person he had left, yet held him in love and loathing. Even if he's gone. Because it got him. It caught him in its web. And he spends so much of his life in the circus trying to mimic this dynamic with everybody around him, living in this confusing intersection between love and hate. He describes his mother, how she hated his dad, but somehow missed him too, even after he was gone. Because the shadow of the man remained. A hauntingly similar situation to how Gangle hated Jax. The abuse that he inflicted on her, yet she would still think of him. Think of how he would respond, even when he wasn't around. However, the role thrust upon the boy, forced to become a man, is only part of Jax's story. Because Jax never asked to be that man. Jax never asked to be any kind of man. He tells Ribbit how he wanted it to end. He was tired of it, and so he told his mum something deeply personal, his most vulnerable secret. He doesn't want to be seen as that man. As any man. That's the ultimate truth. She laughed at him, unraveled him, and we start to understand his fear. His deepest insecurity, being open, vulnerable, to shed his skin and be mocked for the man, for the woman underneath. It explains why he hid it so deeply, locked it behind a door, behind so much pain. The things that Jax can't stand to look at, those are the things that he pushes onto others, mocks them for. And his gender identity is one of those things. The accusations towards others, the mockery of nonconformity just to tuck it away, to convince the world that he could never be that, to convince himself, to hide the beauty of his inner truth behind an ugly veneer of bigotry and misogyny. Projection rather than confession. And it doesn't make it okay. but it has to help you understand him, because Jax is so alone, and vulnerability like that stings. His only experience being open is pain and confusion, because after all of that, the hate, the insult, she hugged him. How could she hug him? What can Jax even be? Who is he allowed to be? All of the pain and the comfort on the back of the lifetime of hatred and the weight of expectations. His deepest secrets, his heart, ripped to shreds in front of him, only to be lovingly handed back to him in bits. None of it makes sense. And so the violence in the wake of such cognitive dissonance, one that we know so well, rears its head. He pushes her with everything in him, a visceral response to something so wrong, feeling so confusing, and she falls. She doesn't get back up, confirming one final thing to Jax. You hurt people. Opening up hurts people. They hurt you, and you hurt them. You are hurt. But you don't have to be. In the wake of all of this vulnerability, all of this honesty, unlike his mother, Ribbit accepts him. He tries to run, but she doesn't let him. She understands him, sees that he trusts her, and he sees her. She sees him. She sees her as she places her bow on Jax's head. Here, in this moment, for just a few seconds, everything is okay. But Jax is hurt. And a lifetime of pain isn't fixed in a microcosmic moment of euphoria, no matter how beautiful it might be. Jax's violent tendencies are built over so many years of confusion. His projection is designed to hide his gender dysphoria so deep, and that's the cruel irony. Opening up has given Jax everything that he needed and wanted. Someone who understands him, somebody who accepts him, somebody who stays. Makes him stay. And he can't bear it. Because accepting Ribbit's love means accepting the possibility that she's right. That he isn't broken. That he deserves to be seen. That he deserves to be loved. And that possibility terrifies him far more than any rejection ever could. And Jax's dissociation, as we see here, is designed to shut people out when they get too close. When they start to see his heart. Because even if Ribbit can accept him, that doesn't mean that he has to. Things move fast. Days over seconds as Jax completely ices Ribbit out of his life. Convincing himself that everything that he told her was an invention, a story that he made up. He chooses to be somebody else, dissociating completely from reality in favor of his preferred flavor of fiction. And it destroys Ribbit. It's not just Jax. Like I said, she needed something real. And when she finally confronts him, he tears her down, using her own vulnerabilities against her, just like with Pomni in episode 6. And so Ribbit slips away, abstracts, the pain of which he buries even deeper, and the versions of Jax we've spent this entire video discussing begin to grow stronger. Dissonance, projection, dissociation, masks, all of them built to protect that one moment in time where somebody saw Jax completely, every flaw, and loved him anyway, in a way that he could never love himself, and so he rejected it. Is someone like that beyond saving? A light in the dark, and there he stands. Behind all those faces, beneath all those masks, there's just him, Jax. Finally laid bare. Finally seen for their entirety. All the darkness, the hatred, the violence and pain. So much pain. For them. For him. Because that's who Jax is. Someone who hurts people. Someone who hurts. Because yes, these things are true. Those faces of Jax are more than just an illusion, they are real. The real Jax. At least in part. But there's more to this person than just hate and pain and anguish and agony. Friendship is possible. Love is possible. Everything is possible. But he couldn't let himself feel it. Couldn't allow himself to have anything more than less. He isn't supposed to be loved. He isn't supposed to be saved. Because you might hate Jax, but nobody hates him more than Jax. He has such a desire to be punished, to be alone, to be granted his greatest of fears. Because his disdain for the man, the woman, the person that they are is so immense that he refuses to accept anything else from anyone. He locks it away, the truth of Jax beneath these layers of faces, horrible, terrible faces and masks. Because he would rather be pushed away for who he chooses to be, than shunned for the shame of who he has no choice but to be. So why? Why is she even here? She's seen everything. What does she want? To rub his face in every mistake he's ever made? The things he's done, the monster he is, Ribbit, Ragatha, Kaufmo, Gangle, Zubul, all of these people, on some level, on this level, he knows that it's wrong. And it is wrong. None of that can be absolved. None of that can be undone. He's hurt so many people. He's tortured them, abused them. Despite all of the ugliness of everything that she has seen, Pomni just sees him.
I didn't know you could play the piano.
I only know like 2 songs.
She cuts through all of this loathing, all of this hate and pain, and still sees value in him. Still sees a reason to care about him. And he can't take it. He won't take it. As she takes her first steps, he tries to turn her away. But there's so little time left. And there's so little Jax left too. He knows that he's awful. He knows that he is broken. And he begs her to just leave him to his fate. But Pomni walks forward. For what reason? Why continue to care? Why love him? He doesn't deserve it. And Pomni walks forward. He begs her to leave him be. At the heart of this, he knows that he'll hurt her, like his mother, like Ribbit, and he can't control himself. He can't control his actions, the way that he reacts. He can't help but hurt people. And she runs. She's making it so hard. Just let him go. It's what he wants, to be let go, to walk quietly into the night. It's supposed to be easy, to quietly drift away. Never missed, never loved, never to hurt anyone again. He wants them to just let him die, to leave him alone. And she runs faster, in spite of all of everything. He's still everything to her. Because Pomni needed saving. She knows what it means to need saving. What's the point in being saved if you can't save the life of another? And she's so close to him, so close to finding him. She reaches for his hand, to pull him from the depths, to stop him from drowning in despair. This is the hand she needed. These are the hands that caught her, and maybe she can now be that hand for him. Because she never gave up on him. Pomni grabs him and hugs him. But it's too late. Some acts can't be undone. Those final words, that final chance fading away with a...
Never mind.
There's a relatable tragedy in Jax's abstraction. It just happens quietly tucked away off screen. Because these moments, when they come, when they go, they just happen, quietly tucked away. But there is a singular benefit to this never-ending circus. A chance to speak to him now, to connect Now. There's no more games to play. She just asks him to talk to her. And he turns and hugs her, accepting her offer finally, as they hold each other and face the abyss together. But even here, at the end of the road, Jax still can't speak clearly, still speaks in confusion.
I hate you. You know that?
However, Pomni has seen him. He doesn't need to say it because she knows what he means. And she messed it up, complicated it, made him care despite his complexities, and for a shining, shimmering moment. It's beautiful, serene, expressive, honest and raw. And Jax utters a single line, maybe the only time that he's been completely honest, intentionally with Pomni. Because even though he chose this, he didn't want this. He just couldn't help it. And despite everything that's happened,
I don't want to go.
is anyone beyond saving? I don't know. Maybe that's the wrong question. Because nobody can save you. Not really. People can love you. They can understand you. They can reach for your hand and stand beside you to face the dark. But the first step always belongs to you, as it belonged to him. To her, Jax. So much of Jax's tragedy is self-inflicted. There were so many chances that he had to walk another path, to change, to accept that he can be loved. But he couldn't let people in, couldn't let himself see himself as more than anything but a monster. And that destroyed him. But it didn't have to be that way. Because out there, in the real world, he's doing it. Being better, saving himself. And even though it ended so tragically, even though Jax's story was cut so short, for a moment, for a fleeting moment, he won. To let himself be known by Pomni. And that's a victory. Because just before finally letting go, Jax could let go of all of that pain and trauma, his worst moments, his best moments, his final moments. All of it in the past. And now there is simply just that moment where she can accept her truth. The truth of who she really is underneath. If only for a moment, Jax can be reborn. Less than 1 minute old. And isn't she lovely?